Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Hi, and welcome back to Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan. I am your host, Jake Hogan. No surprise there, right? You knew that you saw the name of the show, so you figured Jake Hogan would be here. I am a writer. I'm a failed comedian. I am a philosophy student, and I'm now a podcast host where I interview people about things on my mind. Hopefully smart, funny people will give me good advice about life. Today, we're talking to Josh Malina, and we'll be talking to Josh about how to stay peaceful and happy when so much of the world seems like it's falling apart. Like, if you're a socially conscious person and you're worried about the environment and you're worried about politics and you're worried about disease and you're worried about your kids and you're worried about the state of the financial world and price of houses and gas and everything in the world, AI, for God's sakes, how do you not drive yourself nuts? And that's the real question I want to find out, get some advice on, because I can worry too much, and I know that worry is pointless, and worry is useless, and worry adds nothing. You know, planning for something is not worry, but just worrying about something is just killing you. It's anxiety, and it's taking years off your life, or off my life. So we'll be talking with Josh about that, and I'll be very excited to find out what he has to say about it. I want to remind all our listeners that if you have a question or comment, don't be afraid to write to don'tbealonewithjakehogan at gmail.com. It's dbawjakehogan@gmail.com. dbawjakehogan@gmail.com. I will answer your questions, and I need listener mail, because we do listener mail every episode, so please write in. I'm just excited to be here and excited to hear what Josh Malina has to say. So there'll be some sort of pause, and when we come back, Josh Malina will be here.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Hi, we're, I guess, back. I'm not even exactly sure.
We may be back. We may be just starting.
I've apparently done some kind of great intro for you
Yeah.
that hasn't happened
So
yet.
you say.
But I will do it after you leave, because this is how we do it here. And thank you for being on Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan.
Thank you for having me.
I have a big sign here in our brand new Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan studios.
It is gorgeous.
Just
It's
had them
fabulous.
built.
The exposed brick.
Exactly.
I love it.
It's fantastic. As far as I know, we had this built because I was told I'm the only podcast
Yes.
that in existence.
Yes.
So if I start this new medium.
Wait, I co-host a podcast.
Oh,
there
shit.
are two. There are
That's
two
right.
podcasts.
So-
We'll get to that later.
So my guest is Josh Malina. Josh, you are a fabulous actor.
Thank you.
You're a bit of a political commentary guy.
Am I?
You are a little bit. I
have a Twitter account.
You have
X,
a Twitter account.
rather.
An X account. And also you host a podcast called Unorthodox.
That is true.
And what is the podcast about? Don't tell me it's about the Jews.
Indeed it is.
Oh, okay.
It's by the Jews, for the Jews. Actually, it's for everybody.
Right.
It is it's a podcast that's been around for 7 or 8 years. It is, we'd like to say, the universe's leading Jewish podcast. I hopped on, as I like to do, to something that was already successful. I am the third co-host, joining OGs Stephanie Butnick and Leah Leibovitz. The three of us talk about...
Let me just hold.
Yes.
Are they also Jewish?
I know they don't sound...
Because I couldn't tell.
You are sharp.
All right,
you should
good.
be hosting
Yeah,
a
all right,
podcast.
good.
Yes, the three of us, he's an Israeli-American Jew, she's an Upper West Side Jew, and I'm the exotic Los Angelian Jew. We talk about the Jewish world, Jews in the news. We have a Gentile of the Week every week, so there's something for everybody.
As a guest?
As a guest,
Okay.
yes.
So, but are the only guest is a Gentile?
No, we have Jewish guests as well.
Good. Thank God.
And it's a lot of fun. I'm having a very
Baruch
good time.
Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. We're doing well.
fantastic.
People are listening.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I have not. I've noticed that I've asked you to be on my podcast, but
Yes.
I have noticed that I've not been asked to be on your podcast.
Well, let's see how today goes.
Okay,
You
fair
would be
enough.
welcome on my podcast.
Honestly, good hosting. I'm checking to see how
But
this
also,
goes.
as you, I think, acknowledged when you first wrote to me, it is an aggressive and horrible thing to ask someone to be a guest on your podcast.
Yes, and I've been doing it aggressively and horribly for a while.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, now I am delighted and charmed by you
Yeah.
and love you. And that's
Yeah.
why it was an instant yes.
Yes,
And
we-
I know you for many, many years now, and originally as a poker friend.
That's right. We play poker together. You take your poker fairly seriously.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've taken my poker very unseriously for many, many years. I've started to get better at it, but I'm still in it just for the good time.
Yeah.
I'm not in it necessarily to walk away with money.
I'm in it just for the good time also, but to me, a good time is when I walk away with money.
Right.
So it's
going
by
back
the
to the
transitive
Jewish
law.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, ouch.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Am I
You're
the problem?
still welcome. You're still welcome
am I
on
the
my
problem?
podcast.
So yes, we've known each other for many years, poker, but I've also known you as an incredible actor.
Thank you.
And you've been an incredible actor even before I knew you. I knew you as an incredible actor.
You're nice to say.
It's true. It's true. And there are roles that I see you on movies that irresistible. Irresistible. When I watch you in The American President, you're irresistible. Irresistible.
Again, you're very kind. And yet so many have managed to resist over the years.
Incredible.
Ever since I was a kid.
You've worked with the marvelous Aaron Sorkin.
Yes, he's been very good to me. I am Aaron Sorkin's Nepo baby.
That's great.
Although I'm not technically his son, I've been treated as such for many years.
That's a good guy to hook up with.
I've always been, I don't get the whole backlash or people's wanting to fight the Nepo baby sobriquet. I mean, who cares? I'm happy to admit that
unfair advantage. Nobody wants to admit they had an unfair advantage.
I'm so comfortable admitting that I have had an unfair advantage. I have friends who are probably much more talented than I that haven't had the breaks that I've had because of my friendship with Aaron and other lucky breaks I've had.
Right.
It's just and I think it's something that's ought to be spoken about more openly, because it helps give you a sense of what it takes to succeed in a business like this. And I think you'd have to be lying to say that it doesn't often take fortune and luck.
Of course, but we're saying that you even supersede luck by social connections. In other words, that's the big leap over luck. Is like if you just come to Hollywood, you get off. That is true. You get off the plane and say, "Here I am, Hollywood."
Well, I'm actually not a big schmoozer, and I think my career has been hurt by that. I was once with my wife in a restaurant, and I said, "Oh my God, we got to go." She said, "Why?" I go, "Wolfgang Peterson, the guy who directed In the Line of Fire, is there." She said, "Well, instead of fleeing, you could go say hello."
Right.
And I was like, no, to me, saying hello to somebody you know that you've worked for before is like saying, "Oh God, I need a job." So I have an anti-schmooze thing in me, but my mom very early on recommended, when I first graduated from college in 1988 and moved to New York City, I knew I wanted to be a professional actor, but I didn't know how to pursue it. And she said, "Why don't you call Aaron Sorkin?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know him." She's like, "Well, but he went to high school with your cousins, Stu and Joel." And I, for lack of a better approach or strategy for becoming an actor, I did call him, and we became poker friends.
Right.
It's
so one of your biggest successes was fighting your instinct not to say hello.
Yes.
And you said hello.
Yes.
And it led to many great things.
Yes, we became
Sports
very good
night,
friends.
And
but even before that, 1989, I made my Broadway debut, having grown up in New Rochelle, New York, the suburbs, desperately wanting to be on Broadway because I got to see a lot of plays. My dad was involved in producing a couple plays, and his best friend was and is Emanuel Eisenberg, who was one of the great theatrical impresarios. So I got to see lots of theater, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. Right. And then all of a sudden I made friends with Aaron, became poker buddies, and he said, "I've written this play that's going to be on Broadway, and do you want to audition?"
But hold on. So I want to go back to that thing.
Please,
you're not going to say hello to somebody that you work with who could help you.
Right.
If somebody you knew couldn't help you, you would say hello, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So here's the thing. So you'd say hello to somebody.
Actually, that's not really true. Right. I think I have an antisocial I'm shy.
Okay.
I think that's ultimately at the bottom of it. Many actors who seem like extroverts are, in fact, I think, a little bit
But are you more concerned
shy
with just the shyness, or are you more concerned with, I don't want to appear like a guy desperate for a job?
The second thing.
Right.
Although, if I saw someone I knew, I think my instinct would also, someone I know that can't help me, I think I would also want to flee. I don't know why. Look, I'm wearing a shirt that says nervous. This is who I am.
If I could read, which is something I get about in the other podcasts, I would talk about it, but I'm unable to read. Being illiterate is a very difficult thing. You do seem nervous a little bit, but you don't seem nervous. But here's the thing that you and I and everybody must remember. If you came to somebody who said hello, who's somebody who could give you a job, and you said, "Hello, I just want to say hello, and it's nice to meet you, and it's nice to see you." reversing roles.
Right.
If you're on a series and somebody says hello to you, and you know in the back of your mind, that guy may need a job, you'd still like to hear hello.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I feel like enough people have helped me that I do want to help anybody that I possibly can.
Right. Hence, you're here for me. But so fighting that instinct of saying, I don't want to seem desperate, we know everybody's fucking desperate. Everybody is desperate. Everybody wants a job. Everybody wants a chance.
That's true.
And saying hello is just, it's not even transactional. It's just a pleasantry.
That's true.
You know, there's no promise.
But I'm bad at small talk. I'm bad at a party.
You're not bad at small talk, and because I've played many poker games with you, and it's nothing but small talk.
Well, that's table talk. There's a fine distinction between talking to someone in order to try to get their money from them.
This is fascinating to me, and we may come back to this after.
By the way, I will say, actually, the social media for me has been a godsend because somehow through the remove of social media, I am comfortable schmoozing.
Okay.
And so I'll send out a tweet to somebody I don't really know who runs a show and make a joke about it, you know. So I will work people, and for some reason, not being face to face and being able to hide my shame.
Yeah. Right.
And I actually, I think a funny story. Sarah Silverman is a friend,
yes.
if I may drop a name.
You just did.
A dear friend, yes. And a poker buddy as well. And she once sent some sort of group email to a huge list of very impressive people and me. And she inadvertently failed to BCC.
Right.
So I now had access to, I can't even remember. It was an unbelievable list of Will Ferrell and David Spade and people of such stature, Sacha Baron Cohen. Right. And then she immediately sent a follow-up email saying, I fucked up. Please don't anybody abuse this contact information. Right. So I immediately sent a reply all to everybody on the list. Right. And I just wrote, I need work. Which I thought was funny.
Right.
And I knew would upset Sarah. Right. And she immediately wrote back, I knew you would be the dick to take advantage of it. Right. And not long after, Nathan Fillion, a fine actor and a lovely guy himself, wrote to me and he said, hey man, I could probably get you an episode of The Rookie.
Okay, well,
and I was immediately, I think, as I feel now, in a full body sweat of shame,
right? Because you made a joke.
Because I made a joke, but also there was truth to it.
Well, but I mean,
I always do need
mainly
work.
it's a joke.
Yes, it was largely a joke. So I felt embarrassed that.
But he's such a nice person. He interpreted it as that.
I wrote
as a
back,
cry
I'd
for
be
help.
delighted to do an episode, and I did do an episode of The Rookie.
That's great. That's beautiful.
That I am capable of schmoozing. I need that one remove of email,
not looking somebody in the
social
eye,
media, and not looking someone in the eye, and having to stand up and
would this be easier if you turned the chair around
a little bit?
Okay, all right. I have to ask. We set a topic. This is a fascinating topic. We set a topic. I want to go back to the topic, but social media is a good blend into the topic.
Yes, I think it will.
Which is, I've noticed that you're online and you have a great social media presence. And when you write things that are often funny, but also often politically charged, and you get angry about stuff, especially about Jewish stuff, but stuff and political stuff, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. All that said, I think I'm not very sophisticated politically.
Okay.
I'm good for about 140 characters. Right, I don't think if we were to sit down now and have a serious discussion about the state of politics.
You wrote a very long piece about Mel Gibson.
That is true.
You did.
That is true.
I call liar.
Perhaps so. I just would say that I think, I think I stand by that.
Okay.
I'm not, I have strong opinions. I was raised by my dad and weaned on righteous indignation. So I often have something I may be right or wrong about, but if I think I'm right about something, I will fight to the death about it. And I'm always willing to stoop to the low level that most people want to interact.
Right. And you handle trolls okay, and you knock the trolls away.
I amplify them.
Okay, good. As long as you're giving them air.
Not the way to respond.
Give the trolls the oxygen they desire. That's the trick.
That's right.
People say ignore them. No. Talk to them deeply and often.
Yes. Take that person with 2 followers who hates Jews and amplify his message to my 300,000 followers.
So smart.
Yes.
Yeah. Good job.
Gain.
So my main question was, because this show is about me talking about things that are bugging the shit out of me and talking to my friends about it.
Will you only book friends?
book friends or anybody with a celebrity name.
I understand.
So
Yeah.
they're good. But the people I'm calling to be my guests are generally friends or people I know
Sure.
in some
It's a
way.
good place
shape,
to
or form.
start, anyway.
I'm not. I sent a letter off to Pete Holmes recently.
He's
and
fantastic.
He's fantastic. I barely know him, if not at all.
Has he
And
responded?
No.
Pete
Holmes.
I'm having the time of my life.
My question to you is,
Yes.
if you are walking around this world upset about anti-Semitism,
Sure.
upset about fascism, upset
Yes.
about the state of politics, how do you not let it boil your blood all the fucking time?
Yeah, I know. You threw this out as the topic, and I was going to say I object to the premise. I'm not sure that I do keep myself from
Okay.
boiling my
All
blood. I do.
So talk about that.
I would say I do a few things. Some of them healthy, some of them not so much. The unhealthy approach is that I bubble myself often. I will often just submerge myself in very terrible reality TV.
Okay.
Or reading a good book. That's
Right.
a better approach.
Right.
I sometimes
God,
just
let's be honest. More TV than book.
far
Come
more.
on, come on.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody
Yes,
says,
far
"Oh,
more.
I
just
read
want
books."
people to
I'm
know.
like, yeah, I read books too,
I just
but
want to make it
watch
clear that one of
TV.
us can read.
Exactly. I hear it on tape, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
That's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do have numbing
Okay.
rituals. I mean, I don't
Right.
think I have any terrible. There are terrible things you can do to numb yourself to
Sure.
the world.
Right.
I'm not too bad at any of them.
No, you must have you're not fat, so it's not food. You probably don't drink
I have
too
some
much.
eating issues. I drink a little bit. No, none of those things to
Right.
excess.
Right.
But I will sometimes just try to wall myself off from that which is upsetting me. On the more positive side, I try to do some good things that make me feel okay about myself as a member of society. I don't want to pat myself on the back
Right. Give me an example.
I like to give blood frequently.
Okay. All right.
To
To an organization or just in general?
just on the street. Anybody
Okay,
who looks
yeah.
like
Okay.
you look like
Right.
you could.
Right.
No. My daughter Isabel, who is now a healthy and wonderful 25 years old, had open heart surgery when she was 2. She was the recipient of blood and plasma and platelets given
Right.
by my family, by friends, by my synagogue,
Yeah.
and strangers.
Right.
And so I have tried to acknowledge and honor that which was given to me
Right.
and to her
Right.
by I always feel great after I've done it. I'm like, there's
they give you a cookie.
Cookie, juice,
Right.
Cheez-Its,
Right. Sure.
gummy bears.
Right.
So there's that. You
Right.
get a lot of free t-shirts.
Right.
Occasionally you get a $30 Amazon. I'm living on this,
That's
basically.
nice.
Yes.
Okay. Good.
But there's I really enjoy that there's something that I find very easy. Some people faint
Right.
and whatever. So if you can't do it, I
Right.
understand you can't do it. There are also certain strictures if you've done this or that. Or there was a time I stopped taking alopecia.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
alopecia is propecia.
No, propecia.
Alopecia is a
the
syndrome.
disease.
Propecia is for
save your hair,
baldness.
right.
And I once went to a blood drive, and it said if you take propecia,
Right.
you can. I had to tell my
Right.
niece, whose high school blood drive it was like,
Right. I
I'm
can't
losing
go.
my hair. I
Right.
can't donate blood.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing that. What am I trying to say? It's a very easy way to help save lives, and it costs you
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
money-wise. I give charity too.
Yeah. You looked over to the side
I don't
like,
wanna-
like
I
there's
don't
a
wanna
voice
lean
out
into
there
the
like,
Jewish
do you
thing."
give money to charity? You stupid.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that is
Okay, so you give
And I
blood.
think I should do much more than that.
Okay.
But things that make you feel like, oh,
But
it's,
so
it's
that-
so hard to
But wait,
decide
does-
what's a net gain to the world.
Right.
But like you give blood, you're helping somebody.
That is helping. But does that ameliorate the anger of like Donald Trump or something? Like giving blood, you give blood once every 8 weeks? How often can you?
You can give platelets every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So I've started to, and I should know about blood, but I've been on a platelets kick lately because I don't want to promote any streaming services
Right.
because I'm on strike.
Okay.
But you sit and watch TV for
Right.
2 hours,
Right.
and they take the blood in, and they take what they need from
Right.
it, and they put it back in.
Okay.
And then you get free cookies and
Right.
stuff. And like, I can't believe everyone isn't doing this.
Yeah.
I'm numbing myself by
Right.
watching television for 2 hours,
Right.
and I'm helping people.
So you feel
yes.
that makes you feel good about the world.
It makes me feel better about the world. For all I know, I can't find common ground with a Trumpist,
Right.
but maybe I've saved one with my platelets.
Right. Have you?
Maybe I'm connecting with those with whom I disagree, which I can't on an intellectual or emotional level.
Yeah.
But
Have you tried to find common ground with a Trumpist?
no. And and this is another thing where I don't know. I don't know that my interactions on social media, they make me feel a little bit better about. I think I'm a confrontational person, and rather than fighting with friends and family, I'm happy to fight with strangers on social media. And I also, I know I'm in a bell chamber, if that's the phrase, or an echo chamber. I know I'm talking largely to people that agree with me, or I'm berating somebody that I'm never going to. He's or she is never going to persuade me of something.
So what do you get? What do you get out of that energy?
I think it just sloughs off some anger.
Okay.
It's not, I don't resolve anything. I don't get anywhere, which is why I don't know that it's ultimately a personal.
What's your biggest political issue, not personal, right now that's on your mind that's like, I wish I guess
I've just come to a realization starting roughly around 2016 that there are 60 million people in the country with whom I can't, I'm sure there are certain things, there's some common ground, but that I fundamentally can't grok, for a better word.
Right.
I can't understand. I can't understand how the Democratic Party has lost the working man's and woman's vote.
Right.
I don't understand how you could believe that the GOP represents your priorities or your needs. Or I just don't. I don't know what has happened to, and maybe it's just a naivete.
But you do know. Know.
Well, I think part of what I know now is that I was a little bit naive to what was always there and bubbling under the surface. Not always bubbling under the surface, but so much has been now normalized.
No, but I mean, they're not, there's no policy they're interested in. There's not a policy they want. They want a feeling.
Yeah.
This guy gives them that feeling.
That's true.
That's it.
And
That they want that feeling of either I'm right or somebody's as mad about things as I am.
I think that's largely true, but I don't think that covers the entirety of it. I think there's also so much misinformation now that people...
But you confront those people with the right information or some other information and even prove to them it's the right information. It doesn't change the argument at all.
Cognitive dissonance.
It's not about facts. It's not about misinformation, really. It's about this emotional soothing that they're getting from this side of people who are saying, you're right. The way your worldview is correct, and the anything that challenges your worldview is wrong.
That's largely true.
Yeah.
I also think there's probably a delusion that by voting for him, I could be like him. Maybe I'll be a billionaire. I do think some people think that. Because again, the facts of it are just
sort of like the prosperity preacher. We give money to the prosperity preacher, and money will flow back to us.
I think
tenfold.
I think that's part of it.
All right. I don't know. I feel like that they're sitting somewhere in their house or wherever they live and going like, he thinks government has done nothing for me, and he's saying government's doing nothing. And I want that to win. I want that side to win. I want the side to win and say, it's not what I consider whatever marriage to be. That's what I want people to say marriage is. And he's saying that. Yeah. He's agreeing.
And then also exploitation of cultural disagreement. I mean, what's happening in Florida and I was watching 2 videos of Prager University, Dennis Prager, giant, dangerous, blowhard, asshole.
Right. And he's one of us.
Yes.
I know.
Not good for the Jews.
Not good for the Jews.
Not good for the world. Yeah. And watching these 2 short videos, one with Frederick Douglass, no doubt voiced by a white actor, I'm sure, another Christopher Columbus. Right. And they are now part, or at least can be part of the Florida school curriculum.
Right.
And they are teaching kids that, slavery wasn't so bad.
Right.
And Columbus is saying, well, better to take slaves, better to be a slave than to be killed, right? Kids. And it's astonishing and it's terrifying.
It's insane. It's insane. I mean, clearly it's insane. I mean, even people in Florida kind of know it's stupid and insane.
Do they?
Yeah. Florida is...
And this is what kids are going to be seeing, and it's cartoons, and it's powerful, and it's going to seem like Truth.
Half of Florida
Sure.
is kind of not so on that side. Half of
And
Florida.
the other half lives at Century Village.
Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's kind of, a lot of people in the middle don't care. And so the people in the middle don't care and say, oh, he was the governor, I'll vote for the governor again. And that's how that happens. But, and gerrymandering and all that other stuff. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I'm asking you this question about staying not angry because I'm angry about shit. Like, I'm angry about gerrymandering. I'm angry about not being able to connect with people. I'm angry that anti-Semitism is as big as it's ever been.
It's always in style.
It's horrifying, and it's
awful.
And I don't want to walk around in my life feeling shitty all the time, and I don't want to worry about things all the time because it serves no purpose.
Do you watch reality TV?
Well, my wife makes me watch certain reality TV things, so I do watch. I have been watching.
Can't promote anything.
I have been watching a show about people trying to find love.
Oh, that one.
Yeah, that one.
Yes.
And I have been watching another show about women from certain places who gather together.
Yes.
And sometimes
other people go on a boat.
Yeah, some other people go on a boat. I like that show too, but I don't watch them. If I have an opportunity to not watch them, I would.
Well, I would. Back to the big question. I think I'm slowly giving up.
Okay.
I'm not entirely there. I still battle every day with idiots on social media. But part of me has started to feel, I think during the pandemic and post-Trump administration, and even now I read articles about AI, which always seemed like a sci-fi premise that I didn't quite buy. And I'm like, it probably will destroy humanity. And I don't know if it'll be 3 years or 7 years or 20 years, but I walk around, I read enough articles where I'm like, oh yeah, that is going to be, every technology gets weaponized by bad people. Right. This will be too. And this may have a power that is
what can
unstoppable.
You do about it?
Nothing. I can't do anything
about it. So worrying
it.
about it solves nothing. It just increases your anxiety.
But I've never had that ability. I've always been, I'm a fan of Abraham Lincoln largely, but there's a quotation attributed to him that most people are about as happy as they decide to be. Mm-hmm. And I'm always like, tell that to somebody who's starving or a kid.
He said most people. Yeah. He didn't say everybody. He said most people.
You just got to decide to be happy.
But no, but it's a sign.
If you can do that, hat off to you. That's a great asset and great quality to have. I can't just decide to be happy.
It's a fact that we are born with a certain baseline level of happiness. We all have a baseline that may be genetic, it may be taught, I don't know, but we all have a certain baseline level of happiness.
Yeah.
And so, yes, did you ever see the movie Happiness? There's a really interesting movie called Happiness.
No, but I like that song from the Charlie Brown musical. and it's
the director of Tom Shadyac, the director, made this documentary about happiness, and he gave up a lot of worldly possessions to sort of live more simply. And then it also talks about people who live in a dump in India, literally a garbage dump, are happier than people who live in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I believe that.
Because they have community, they have purpose, they have, family, they have the core things that you need to have in order to be happy, they have. And it's not a matter of money. Now,
I believe that, and I don't think I'm at base an unhappy person. I feel like I'm actually generally a happy person, and now I'm realizing too, I have gratitude built into multiple moments through every day.
Right.
And for me, it's a Jewish way.
Yes.
You can take any approach.
Right.
I wake up and I say a prayer in Hebrew every single morning.
Right.
Modeh ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shehechazarta bi nishmati b'chemla. Which is basically thanking God, whether or not you believe in God or whatever. I don't think you need to for this prayer to land, because I don't know.
You don't need to be Jewish.
No, certainly not. But you don't even need to have faith in power. But the idea, I wake up and it's a prayer in Hebrew that means, thank you, God, for giving my soul to me as a gift for another day.
Right.
So I wake up and the first thing I do is, I'm alive again. And that's a net good.
Right.
I say prayers in my head over their brachas or blessings to be said before different kinds of food. Each time I eat food, I'm grateful. Look, I've got food, and I eat a lot, so that's multiple times during the day where I'm like, I'm grateful for this.
I say a bracha before I masturbate. Each time before I masturbate.
You've got that too? Exactly.
So that's like 14 brachas a day. That's a lot.
Wow, that's impressive. Well, at your age, at our age,
I guess so.
So I think that is part of how I fight the darkness.
Gratitude is great. Gratitude is an answer. See, now...
And gratitude is a very good antidote to self-pity. Like, I feel like I'm constantly reminding myself how much better I have it than most people.
Right.
I don't worry about where the next meal is. And so that is part of staving or keeping away the darkness for me.
Okay. I think I can see that. I also find, at least I try to find, if I talk to people on another side of an issue that makes me upset, I try to find some connective tissue, human tissue between me and them. So while we might not agree about Donald Trump, we might agree that that environment is important, or we might agree that that having a laugh isn't. We might like the same show. We find some humanity between us, makes me feel less like I'm in an army of Terminator style robots out to kill me. But it doesn't. I don't often run into those people because I'm in a bubble like you are.
Yeah. Well, you're making me think of I have a friend who a guy named Matt Brooks, who runs the Republican Jewish Coalition, the RJC. Horrendous, horrible organization.
Right.
And he and I will eviscerate each other on social media, and we just disagree with each other about just about everything. But we met originally at a poker table.
Right.
And I don't know if this is a good or bad, but like that's the connective tissue we have.
Right.
We both like poker.
Okay.
And so he's somebody with whom I agree about just about nothing.
Right.
Decent
player?
He's still, yes, he is.
Good bluffer?
He's a good player. Yes, he's a good bluffer. His entire career is built on bluffing. And, so sometimes I wonder if that's that's good or bad. But he's a friend of mine.
Well, that's good. You can ask him. You can have conversations with a person like that and say, "Do you see that?" Like, and I also find that not trying to have a factual conversation with them is very difficult because my facts and their facts don't jibe up. It doesn't. So it's never going to be like, well, the Biden crime family is like, well. Maybe, but probably not. You haven't shown me any proof. I don't think so, but maybe.
His and our big argument, and there's never any progress you made about it, is like, what's good for Israel?
Right.
We just disagree.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. He likes Bibi.
And Trump, yes.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's rough. I have a rough time with people who are equating sort of hardcore fascist republicanism with being a Zionist or something like that. It's very strange. Very weird. All right. Well, let me ask you.
What have we resolved, Jay?
Nothing. We're not going to resolve anything. But let me ask you about Mel Gibson.
Please.
So you have written about how Hollywood seems to have just forgotten Mel Gibson's sort of issues with anti-Semitism.
Yes, I will tweet every now and then my distaste for Mel Gibson. And Jeffrey Greenberg, the editor of The Atlantic, asked me a couple of years ago, do you want to write a greater, longer piece about it? And I said, well, I'll give it a shot.
Right.
They made the headline, Cancel Mel Gibson. And my thesis, I thought that was slightly off, but it's their right to make the headline. My point was, if he's still getting work and he's going to direct Lethal Weapon 5, and that there is no cancel culture, it's not a real thing.
Well,
I wasn't even saying it wasn't like rah rah, let's cancel him. I'm just like, let's admit that it's not.
There are some people. I think Bill Cosby's pretty canceled.
That is true, but he's out and about.
Yeah, but
he's not criminally canceled. I don't know. Maybe you're right.
I mean, there's some people who will have a tough road back. There's lots of people. Yeah. America loves a second act. They want.
By the way, I'm even open to. Some people have said he's made amends. Mel Gibson, he's given money. He does it quietly, and maybe that's true.
Right.
Maybe I'm being unfair. To me, if you're worth $500 million and you say the horrendous things that you've done, and you plead no contest to domestic battery, and you've said horribly racist and horribly anti-Semitic and misogynist and homophobic. Take your money and go. Don't make any more movies. Right.
You
can.
Right, but
we're not exiling you.
There's a huge audience for wife-abusing anti-Semites. It's gigantic.
Yes, apparently.
Yeah. You can really make some big bucks.
So he is my bête noire, if that's the phrase.
I've met Mel.
Yes. And a lovely guy?
Certainly lovely guy.
I was
and
afraid
I
you were
think
going to say that.
I would say also that a bigger issue than anti-Semitism, although you say what you think sometimes when you're drunk, is alcoholism. And
Yes.
so, I'm not saying those aren't deep-rooted thoughts that just spilled out, but when you're an alcoholic, you have issues, and he may or may not be controlling that particular issue in his life.
That is true.
But I worry less about Mel Gibson in my world than I worry about sort of strangers I don't know.
Yes, I think you're smart too.
Whether they're going to either hurt me or ruin what I thought was a perfectly kind society.
Yes.
And that's the other thing. That's the thing that really
Mel Gibson's the least of it.
Gives me anxiety is I thought we were on much more stable ground than we are.
But that's what I was trying to say earlier too. Like I think the last 7-8 years have exposed to me my own naivete as far as who Americans are.
Right.
Like, I mean, I knew there were elements. I think the numbers are much worse than I ever realized.
Me too. And that democracy is like holding on by
Teetering,
a thread,
yeah.
as opposed to like being solid, we will import or export democracy around the world. It's like, it's not even staying here.
Every now and then I have to remind myself, like, January 6th, not normal. That wasn't normal at all. It's almost like the Trump era has made even that like, that was bad, but it's completely mad, armed assault on democracy.
It's insane.
That happened.
Yeah, it's very strange.
That can happen again.
But people, a lot of people that are on in the world don't really think that was an insurrection. They think it was something else. Either it's a liberal operation that was made to make Republicans look bad, or it was just fine.
But it's amazing. It's both a coping mechanism and a great danger that there's a sort of human resilience where what's incredibly off the charts, abnormal, quickly becomes just like COVID.
Right.
It's like, I remember when I was, washing bananas before.
Yeah.
Do I have to disinfect this banana? Everything's like life completely turned upside down.
Right.
And now it's like, that's part of the world.
I still wash the cereal boxes.
Watch a banana.
I just enjoy it. And now I get a box of cereal. I just wash it, soak it up, and wash it.
Sure, something to do.
Yeah, it makes me feel
Passes
good.
the time.
We didn't resolve a thing. I'm still worried about everything and worried about life, but thank you for talking with me about it. I now have something
From the big to the small questions?
Yeah, this is called Question Time.
Bring it.
It's question time.
Okay, so now what we do is speaking of AI, I have randomly generated about 126 questions.
Fantastic.
And you get to pick
I'll answer them all.
You get to pick the question by picking a letter and a number. The letter is A through G, and the number is 1 through 18. So pick
18 being the Jewish
Chai.
Chai.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with 18 and A through G.
A through G.
Why not A18?
A18.
You
okay.
sank my battleship.
A18. This is a strange question.
Oh, good.
If you could magically make one food healthy, what would it be and why?
I would urge AI to rephrase the question as one word to make one food healthful.
Okay.
Because healthy, I believe, is a state of being, and healthful means good for you.
You try to tell the computer.
Although I think that's me being a prescriptivist,
or an asshole. I don't like to defend AI.
Pedant.
My career may be in jeopardy because of AI, but I don't know. I think you're attacking AI.
Slam dunk would be ice cream.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of ice cream.
Yeah.
And
is that your treat?
Yeah, although I'm as an Ashkenazi Jew, I'm not great with dairy, and so I probably should avoid it.
Okay.
I've shifted to the Rita's Italian Ice. If you're out there, I will promote your product for free.
Rita's from Philadelphia? That Rita's?
I believe it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But they're in LA.
Yeah.
And,
there's
exquisite.
One, Larchmont? I'm trying to think where
there's one on Palms in Mar Vista.
Okay. All right. Yeah, there's Rita's.
Call me.
Yeah, Rita. You could be the spokesperson for Rita's.
Yes,
Italian,
I would like to.
And listing digestive issues as the number one reason why you should go to eat at Rita's.
Do you have diarrhea?
Right.
Try Rita's.
Right. I'm an Ashkenazi Jew. I don't really have an issue with dairy.
That's good. Well,
Yeah,
you're
I don't know.
one of the few.
Yeah, I got
You're our
many
hero.
other issues for my. Okay, so that's the first question.
Good.
Do it again.
How were these generated by AI? What were the prompts?
The prompts were, I gave categories of, give me a question about, life challenges. Give me questions about joy.
Food.
Give me questions about curiosity. Give me strange questions. Give me
Fantastic.
big questions. So
Love it.
Then that's what I did. 18. I pared them down because sometimes there was overlap. It's a great story.
It is. I love it. No, I was just,
Okay.
I was curious.
All right, that's what I did. So
Yeah.
now we'll do two more. So it's another A B C D E.
D18.
D18.
I'm sticking with 18.
Okay. D18. This is about joy.
I'm not qualified to answer
How
this
do you
question.
approach spirituality or faith? And what
Oh.
role does this play in your overall sense of joy and well-being?
Wow, that's a great question and a very good question for me. I was indoctrinated early. I went to Orthodox Jewish yeshivas, Jewish school, half day English, half day Hebrew and Jewish studies for 8 years, 1st through 8th grade. So my Jewish identity, I think, is my prime identity. If it's surpassed by anything, it's only as a father, maybe.
Right.
So I guess I spoke to it a little bit earlier. It is part of my... I don't really know what I believe, and I'm very good at...
Well, that's a good question. Do you believe in God, or do you believe in the system of Judaism? In other words,
I think I feel more comfortable with the latter, but if I'm honest, and I feel embarrassed sometimes
Right.
talking about God or even the possibility
Right.
of having that belief, it seems so, it is irrational. But there is an aspect of me, and it may be the childish part of me that
Right.
was just sort of programmed
Right.
to have this. But there is a part of me, I pray. I say, I
Okay,
wake up and I
right.
say a prayer, and I don't...
Right.
Do I believe that
well,
there's an
praying,
entity?
You're praying to a thing. You say,
Yeah.
"Dear
Yeah.
God, thank you for
Well,
the."
intellectually, I know that, well, whether there's anything or not, I'm saying it and I'm being grateful and I'm
Right.
saying it out loud, and that's helpful and that's a ritual that helps me.
Right.
Do I actually believe that there's an entity that's concerned with me and what I'm asking for? I can't. There's too much evidence. It's that's not how the world works. Even though every award show,
Right.
God apparently,
Right. He's picking the winners.
the Emmys,
For sure.
the Grammys, yes.
Right. By the way, I've won 4 Emmys. Thank you, God.
Nicely done. Well,
Yeah,
the God of the Jews clearly does the Emmys. I think Jesus does the Grammys.
Right. Sure.
But if I'm honest, there is a
Right.
little piece of me that thinks, well, maybe it's being heard. Maybe there's something. I don't think, Judaism is the way, but maybe we're all reaching towards and through different faith practices towards something, some
But
oneness.
as Judaism, you went to yeshiva, so you know more about this than I. Isn't Judaism requirement of action, and that action is an act of faith? And the only true question of life is, do you have faith? In other words, in Judaism, yes, you have to act. You have to act in accordance with the rules set down. But a lot of people feel that God has determined what challenges are in front of you, what things you must learn. The whole idea of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur is you've faced things and you either were successful or not successful and move forward. These are challenges laid out by a higher power. And so all that is all taken care of, and it's your journey.
Well,
but
I don't think it's a predetermined. I think that's more Calvinist than Jewish. And I think the emphasis in most of normative Judaism is on action,
Right.
rather than thought, and
Right.
what you believe is less less important than what you're doing and how you live your life.
you can go through the entire thing and not
living
believe
an ethical life,
anything.
And there is even a concept in Judaism of how are non-Jews judged or meant to behave.
Right.
And there's the 7 laws of the sons of Noah, and they're largely don't kill. It's
Right.
like, I think it's largely the 10 Commandments minus the stuff about believing in the Jewish God,
Right,
which
right.
like, it's okay, you guys believe something else, but you got to act the right way. So I feel like I appreciate the ethical center of Judaism, and I also think that there is gratitude built into.
But faith, I'm
Yes.
getting back to faith, which is the hardest
Yes.
thing of all this stuff, because I don't believe at all. I believe
It's hard to.
it's
It's embarrassing even to.
Right. I'm Jewish.
Sure.
Culturally, and I'm Jewish, and I follow many
You're as Jewish as I am.
rituals, but I don't know that there's a being or creature out
Back
there.
to Sarah Silverman. I was playing poker at her house once on Passover, and we were ordering food.
Right.
And I was explaining that I couldn't order food. I couldn't have pizza,
Right.
and I can't have a burger with a bun. And she was like, "Oh, is the old man with the white beard looking down?"
Right.
You know, like,
Exactly.
And I'm like, "No, that's not what I believe." There's something for me also, just to forget about the faith part, a power in like, this is what my people have done for millennia. It grounds me in the world.
Right.
It gives me an identity.
Right.
I don't think it's better than your identity. It's just who I am. So when I keep kosher and I don't eat a cheeseburger, and whenever I eat, I'm reminded both of the sanctity of life, hopefully, because there are all these rules around what you're eating, animal, and how it's treated. And I'm also reminded that I'm Jewish. So it's sort of faith aside, but I would also, I have to admit, there's a little crack in the window where like, well,
right, but it puts Judaism on the same level as Pilates.
Yeah,
you know,
yes, there you go.
like I go to Pilates, I feel good.
Yes. Well,
I know.
If you remember, Pontius Pilates had big trouble with the Jewish people
he ran
with Jesus.
he ran afoul
Yes.
of a lot of religions. I understand that, but faith is an interesting thing. I'm all for it. I even study. I'm in a Torah study group.
You
like,
are.
Yes,
that's fascinating.
And so, and I do this, but without believing, like ultimately, like what's God's game? Like, why would He put all these problems in front of us? Like He wants people to reform and do good. Like, why?
Yeah.
He could create any world He wanted or she wanted, whatever. Like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's problematic
to me at all.
to envision a God that somehow rewards the good and punishes the bad, because there's too much evidence to the contrary.
Right. Well, it's all in some other afterlife and
That
some
must
other
be it,
reincarnation. All right, last question before we get to listener mail. Excuse me, listener
Mailbag.
So I guess it's 18, but what's the letter?
Let's go with F18.
F18. All right, F18. This question: what are your closest friendships, and how did you meet these friends?
That one hits deep. That resonates with me because I'm very bad at maintaining my friendships.
Okay.
I tend to be, as in all things in my life, a follower rather than a leader. So I'm more likely to stay in touch with the people who reach out to me than the people I reach out to. Although I have gotten better at that during the pandemic, when all of a sudden I was just at home and isolated.
Right.
And so reaching out started to feel like a necessity.
Were you surprised that my wife and I came to see you in a play?
Yes, completely.
Okay.
I was blown away and delighted. And doing a play also, I found, has brought me back in touch. I just did a play in New York for 5 months recently. And a
very fancy play written by the great Tom Stoppard.
Dream come true.
Right.
Dream job, highlight of my career. And one of the really nice things about it is it got me in touch with people I haven't been in touch with in a while, but also people from far past. All of a sudden I'd get a note backstage. I don't know if you remember me from summer camp, you know, when we were 11. I'm like, I do remember this person. Right. And so I actually find that I thrive on friendship, but I have to remind myself to pursue it.
Right. Right. So what do you owe friendship?
What do you
owe friendship?
Yes,
in other words, to keep it alive.
Right, exactly. It takes two to tango in a friendship, and you can't just be the recipient of someone else reaching out to you. And so I've tried, probably not hard enough, to resurrect some old friendships. I think most of my oldest friendships tend to be from school. I have elementary school friends still, and high school and college friends.
Okay. And so are you actively more since the play pursuing them?
Yes. Not as much as I should. Yeah.
Okay.
Now it's time for listener mail.
These are actual letters sent in to me.
Do you have listeners yet?
Well, I do.
I'll take G18.
Okay. Well, no, you don't get the numbers. It's just
well, in my mind, it's G18.
Okay. All right.
You say.
So this is G.
G18.
There already is G. This could be. This has to be K18.
K18. Sure.
Yeah. So, dear Jay, have you ever felt lonely while being surrounded by a room full of people? And if so, how did you overcome that feeling? From Maynard. First of all,
First of all, it's addressed to Jay, so I can't answer.
Maynard's going to feel lonely no matter where he is. I mean, I got to be honest.
That's true.
The name
Unless,
Maynard.
sometimes they have the people with the same name get together.
What's the nickname of Maynard? May? Hey,
Nard. Nard dog.
Nard. Hey, Nard dog. Maybe. But I mean, sure, right? I mean,
yes, often.
Right. I mean, this is what you just said in a restaurant. You're not willing to say hi to somebody because some part of you feels not good enough or strong enough to say hello.
Yeah. And I've never had a strong party game.
Right.
So, I don't love going to parties. First of all, I have difficulty hearing from one of my ears because an errant slap in a scene I was rehearsing with a scene partner in college.
Oh, no.
So in large crowds, I often don't know what anybody is saying.
Right. Did she apologize?
Not sufficiently.
Okay.
Because I saw her years after college and I said, I actually lost, and she didn't seem to care.
Right.
I think she didn't want to, I think she was worried that she might be legally liable.
Right. But she was committed to the moment. She was in the scene.
The saddest part is it wasn't even for a production. It was a Shakespeare literature class in which the professor said, if you don't want to take the test and we have any thespians in the class, you can do a scene. And I was like, I'll do that instead of writing a paper or whatever it was. And then why we interpolated a slap into the scene, I don't know. Cupped my ear. Right. Back to loneliness.
Yes.
So I'm often in groups pretending that I understand what everyone else is talking about and feeling deeply sad and wanting to do a take to the camera going, I don't know. I don't know what anybody is saying.
Right. Well,
so, yeah.
That's not a unique feeling, even for those of us who don't have hearing difficulties.
Yes. Do you feel lonely in crowds?
Often.
Groups?
I mean, often, especially, less so in parties where I know everybody, but there's lots of parties to go to where I know very few people. And then I'm like flailing and feeling sad. I have a lot of social anxiety.
Do you go to a lot of parties? I don't a lot.
I don't go to a lot of parties. I actually don't go to, what I don't go to is funerals. I wind up not going to funerals a lot because I really can't handle it.
Yeah, I find them hard too.
And I just difficult. And I know one of the great blessings, one of the great things you can do is honor somebody.
That's true.
By going to a funeral and saying goodbye. And I didn't say goodbye to lots of people who were in my life. And
that is difficult.
And some of it is because I didn't want to. I had real feelings about how they died or something like that. I didn't want that to be part of the funeral. So it's interesting, but I do feel, I can certainly feel lonely in the center of a room when you feel bad about yourself, when you feel like you're not wanted or that people haven't necessarily made you feel warm and you haven't gone out of your way to sort of find your place in that room. It's a very lonely experience.
Yeah. I also can feel when and this is probably when I'm not around close friends, when I'm around strangers or people who don't know me well, when I'm not being myself, I'm enacting a version of myself, and that's a lonely feeling.
Yeah. So what does the fake Josh Malina look like? What's the version of yourself?
You've been talking to him for the last hour.
All right, great.
No,
I like this guy. So much better.
He's much more likable.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think tries to be up and funny, and I mean, I don't love people
kind of who you are a little bit, right?
I guess so, but I think there are aspects of myself that I share with people I know well that I don't with people that I think expect me to be.
So you're willing to let your guard down in front of people you know well.
Yeah.
You don't have to put on the facade of the funny.
Although I can feel also sometimes I meet somebody new and I feel immediately comfortable and feel like I can make myself vulnerable, but that is rare, I think.
We've known each other for many years, but we're not great friends. Do you feel comfortable with me to be real?
Yes,
or do you
absolutely.
not?
No, I feel, and I remember actually a specific conversation with you when my career was going terribly and I was having terrible financial troubles, and
that's when I made you sign up for that timeshare, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for doing that. I really appreciate it.
No, and I wasn't walking around telling anyone who would listen like I'm going broke.
Right.
But I remember talking to you about it because you are somebody I felt comfortable, and you were very encouraging and sympathetic. So I don't feel that way with everyone, and I do with you.
Well, that's very nice.
Do you remember that conversation?
Not at all. Not even the least bit. And that's kind of the thing that should be actually good, because you confide in somebody about some moment of weakness or perceived less than moment, and you don't want people to carry that with them as baggage forever. And apparently I didn't.
Yeah.
I just always considered you very successful.
You may not have even been listening.
Successful, fabulous actor. I don't listen to people. I pretend I have hearing loss. So that's fine. You know that hearing loss can precede some dementia.
Oh, God.
So I'm saying keep active.
I worry about that.
Yes, I'm saying you should worry
I have a
about
lot
that.
of trouble. I couldn't think of Jack Warden's name. Jack Warden's name.
Right.
For 4 days.
I've had that all the time. I went to a neurologist like 2 weeks ago to try and see what I could do about it. And he tested me. He gave me that Trump test.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a neurology
How'd you
test.
do?
I was a genius,
Killed
just
it.
like Trump. Killed it, yeah. And he said, you're fine. You're experiencing what everybody experiences as they get older. The things that you should do to keep your brain active.
Tell me, please. New York Times spelling bee? Does that help? Doesn't help?
No.
Darn it.
Everything that you can do for a good heart is what you do for a good brain. If you keep active.
Pickleball?
Pickleball, sure.
I've been playing.
Eat foods that are
I have blueberries in the morning.
Low fat, good
Sure.
foods. If you can have more fish oil, fish with that fatty fish with fish oil.
Is there any chance that eating a grotesque amount of Italian ices is helpful?
It might be.
Read us. Call me. Read us.
Keep involved with friends, activities, actions. Keep your mind going. My neurologist didn't say that, but playing the same game every day doesn't help. Playing new games every day does.
Okay.
And playing different games or taking new routes home or trying new things and having new experiences.
I do that just in case someone's following me.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's important.
So
you have enemies.
paranoia, good for your brain.
No, you've made real enemies on the internet.
Yes,
I
I never
think
take the same route
It's
twice.
smart. But
I once, as a result of something I tweeted on, I had Disney security tell me, like, don't go home the same way.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
Isn't it?
Wow. Are you going to go home the same way?
I'm not even sure I'm going to go home. I'm
Okay.
so depressed. I'm either going to go straight to the poker club or Rita's.
What poker club do you
I
go to?
play at Hollywood Park.
Okay.
A fair amount.
So you sit around with strangers playing poker?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I've done that. Well, that was one of the great discoveries to me of Los Angeles. I
Right.
moved here with Noah Emmerich,
Right.
fabulous actor. He
Right.
would be a fine guest on
Yes.
your show.
Right.
And we put together a home poker game, and we had bought a poker table. We
Right.
had the felt removed and billiard felt put on.
Mhm.
We had it stained the color we
Mhm.
wanted. And one by one, everybody we had invited to our game canceled.
Right.
And we were just absolutely despondent. And one of us said, I've once heard there were poker
rooms.
clubs
Right.
or something, but I didn't even think it was legal.
Right.
And I remember I called, this is back when you had information
Sure.
to get a number.
Right.
May I have the number of the poker club?
Uh-huh.
Please hold. I was like, dude, she said, please hold.
Right.
And then they gave me the number of the bicycle club, and I called,
Right.
and I thought, I didn't think it was legal. So I was
Right.
like, hey, do you have a game
Yeah,
going?
it's interesting. You
And they're
have-
like, yeah, we have a game. And
And you guys played?
yeah, and no, but then we drove there, and like from the freeway, I was like, oh my God, it's a gigantic casino.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
they have this in Los Angeles,
Sure.
and 30 years of poker
Oh, that's
degeneracy
great.
followed.
That's good for you. I'm not patient enough. You have to be really
it's
patient
important to be patient.
to
That's
sit at
true.
those tables because if people aren't sitting around the table joking, I'm not having.
No, you're not going to
enough
get
of
the
good time.
creme de la creme of Los Angeles's comic minds.
Yeah, you're right. You raise, I re-raise.
Hey,
You know?
asshole.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's fascinating. Well, I hope if you do go to the poker club,
Sure.
that you win,
Thank you.
that you have a good time,
Thank you.
that you feel good about yourself.
I appreciate
And
that.
I thank you for talking to me and
Time
being
of my
here.
life.
This is.
Wait, don't I get to recommend something? Didn't we
Yes,
skip
we're going to do a moment of
nodule?
joy in a second. But,
Okay.
so before
Are
we
you gonna
go,
make me leave
let me
first?
fucking finish my fucking goodbye. All right?
Please.
Jesus Christ.
Yes. I'm sorry.
All right. So anyway.
This is why I don't get together with people more. I'm very bad at goodbyes. I don't
so,
like goodbyes. I like the Irish goodbye.
All right. Before we say goodbye,
Look over there.
oh, Jesus. We're going to do something that I like, that's moment of joy.
Yes.
You're going to give me one thing that gives you, you're going to tell me one thing that gives you joy. Maybe I, or maybe anybody who's the 4 people who may be listening to this might get something out of the idea of things that will make us feel better about the world and give us joy.
A moment of joy.
This is the recommendation
Your
nodule.
recommendation. You're going to
I'm
recommend
gonna,
something.
recommend the genre of entertainment known as live theater.
Okay.
It's as an actor, super reawakened my joy as a human being doing theater again. I started in theater, like most actors
Right.
start in whatever, school theater, camp, all that. And then I did A Few Good Men on Broadway in 1989. And then for 30 years, I had to make a living and did largely TV, occasional film, but didn't do a full stage theater production again until last summer, where I did a play called What We Talk About When We Talk About Anne Frank by Nathan Englander down in San Diego. Right. And then I just did amazingly and I fortuitously got this opportunity to do the Tom Stoppard play Leopoldstadt on Broadway. And I'm a huge fan of theater as an audience member, and I've always gone to tons of theater, and I find it, as much as I like seeing TV and films, there's nothing quite like being surrounded by an audience, watching live, actual people in front of you, creating a piece of art that, though, in some ways identical to the next performance and the previous performance, is itself nonetheless not exactly the same. It is happening in front of you, unfolding in real time. And I know there's studies have shown that attending theater increases empathy for other people and their stories. It increases charitable giving.
Really?
There is something just very salutary and enjoyable and joyful about going to the theater. And for me as an actor, performing it.
That's amazing. I feel exactly the same way about a package of Skittles.
There you go.
You open a packet of
Skittles.
Do you know
it's possible nowadays to eat Skittles at a live theater production?
I do know that. If you have one, pay $20. $20 for a package of Skittles.
Yeah,
that's great. By the way, I didn't get a lot of Leopoldstadt gear in the theater. Like hats.
Yeah, it's not a big merch show.
Not a big merch show.
Although they did.
You were great in it. You were great in that show.
I appreciate
and we had such a great time. And so we did see live theater thanks to you, and it was fantastic. So
and during the strike.
Yeah.
Go see live theater.
Yeah,
Put down the remote.
Right.
Go see a play. Right. Wear a mask.
This may be on after the strike.
Who knows?
But who knows?
5 years from now.
Yes, but there'll be a new strike. There'll be a new strike. Anyway, thank you for being here,
Josh.
Now
I really have to leave.
You don't have to leave, but I just want to say goodbye.
Can I sleep here tonight?
That you can.
I'm lonely, Jay.
Yes, I understand. You can come to my house.
Established that.
I have a guest room.
Okay.
Come stay at my house. Right. We can play poker.
So
let's have a poker game.
Why don't we get the old gang back together?
I don't have to go that gang, any gang. I'm good with any, as long as the
Crips.
That's fine.
Sure.
My buy-in price has to be lower than Hank Azaria
You're wearing
price,
blue,
but it's fine. Yes,
you're very
Crip. I can be very crippy.
Yeah.
I have a red hat. I can be Bloods.
It's funny you don't look crippish.
I am. Anyways, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I love you.
I love
don't
you
be
too.
alone with Jake Hogan.
That was another thing I love. Oh, you made my day.
Why?
When I knew.
Yeah.
This is all behind the scenes. Okay. I knew there was going to be a What Do You Recommend?
Yes.
And I was between theater and it was between telling your male friends you love them.
Interesting.
Because very few people do it. My friend Michael Ian Black, whom I love, every time we say goodbye, he says, I love you.
Yeah.
And I think men don't do that. I see women do it all the time.
Right.
They're much more comfortable with it. I love when a man is willing to say I love you to another man.
I've been trying to say I love you more to everybody all the time.
That's a beautiful thing.
The only people I love, though, because I just want to make sure that I don't know when this ends, when it all ends.
I had almost an OCD when I was a kid. I was concerned, I'm going to die, they're going to die.
Right.
Let the last thing I said be I love you to my, it was largely my family. And they were just like, we know you love us.
Right.
Relax.
Well, we're good.
But I'm glad that we're bringing it back.
Good.
And I can't believe that's what you just closed on.
Well, that's good. Well,
I do
love you. And
I love you too.
Thanks for being here. Okay.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Don't be alone with Jake Hogan.
Well, that was my conversation with Josh Malina, who is incredible. Loved having him here and hope to have him back soon. And loved having you here. So thank you for listening and watching or whatever you're doing with Don't Be Alone with Jake Hogan. It's great to have you here. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to write in to dbawjaykogen@gmail.com. And I'd love to hear any comments you have, especially how great I look, how funny I am, how sexy I am. As a matter of fact, let's just limit it to those 3 topics, and then we're good. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Okay, bye-bye.